welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinji. Somalia and Ethiopia have signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU expressing mutual willingness to resolve their diplomatic dispute. The first round of discussions between the rival East African states took place under Turkey's mediation in the capital, Ankara. Now, during the parley, Ethiopia's Foreign Minister Taye Selassie agreed with his Somali counterpart Ahmed Fiki that reaching a resolution to their ongoing diplomatic dispute is necessary. This mediation in the Horn of Africa is the first major effort to resolve their dispute, with Turkey looking good for the job because of its good relations and strong ties with both countries. In a press briefing following the agreement, Turkey's foreign ministry announced in a joint statement that the Somali and Ethiopian ministers had reiterated their commitment to the peaceful resolution of differences and also expressed their appreciation to Turkey for its facilitation as well as its constructive contributions. Now, the differences were sparked back in January this year when Ethiopia agreed to a deal to lease 20 kilometers of coastline from the breakaway state of Somaliland in exchange for recognition of its independence. And this fueled the long-held regional tensions between Mogadishu and Addis Ababa. Both countries have agreed to meet in Ankara for a second round of discussions in September. Let's head now to Kenya. The president of the country has put off proposed pay rises for cabinet and parliament members in the wake of public outcry. Now, this is coming a week after mass protests forced Mr. Ruto to drop a controversial finance bill that had included tax hikes. The Salaries and Remuneration Commission, SRC chairperson Lynn Mengich, stated that the commission would freeze the salary increases for state officers due to the current realities of the economy. Initially, the SRC had recommended a pay increase of 2% and 5% for all state officials, including judges. Well, the president has sent the plans back for a review. Well, let's get more on this. Joining us now is Kenyan journalist Cyrus Abati from Nairobi. Hello, Cyrus. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me on the show.
First, how is it possible that, these pay increases were planned during this sensitive time in Kenya?
As you put it very clearly, the timing was bad. Actually, it had been planned to be implemented this July because that's when the financial year starts. It's only that it came at the wrong time. And mostly such pay raises are meant to bribe or to influence, for example, members of parliament to do one or two things which the government wants to do. It was supposed to appease, for example, members of parliament to pass bills which the government wants to be passed. Judges maybe to feel good or rather to be given out, because 2% is not something that someone can say is big, but for their scales, that's bigger to say it's a little.
The president has sent the plans back for review, and one can imagine the public outcry to these. But do Kenyans have their own ideas on how the proposed review should look like?
Well, when the SRC published a gazette notice showing what to be paid to these people who are targeted, there was an outcry, an outrage, to say a little bit, because it came at a time when those protests were ongoing in the country, and now people are asking, well, we are trying to fight the wage bill, the cost of living here in the country now, but now you are trying to increase your salaries because you are privileged in a way. And you see, the problem is that the people targeted are those earning much higher money as compared to other people in the government. Had they increased the salaries of the junior officers in the government, it could have now better. But now, these are the higher cadre, the upper cadre of the civil servants and state officers, members of parliament, cabinet secretaries, judges, and few state officers, say police commanders and military officers. So it became more outrageous, and it was not his wish actually to review that, because even some members of parliament had started saying they don't want that pay rise. It was followed, it was a chorus at the Senate. So given all the outrage which was online all over, he was forced to come out and say, no, it's now we have to review that. Then now SRC was also forced to come out and say they are going to put on hold that that issue.
Cyrus, the last time we spoke, there were protests for the president to step down. Tell us what the situation is now in and around Nairobi and even other parts of the country.
I think it's calm Nairobi, but tension was high. The business was slow. Most motorists kept off the Nairobi CBD. But then there were pockets of protests along the Nairobi-Mombasa highway. That's a major transit route. It was in Mali. As for market was looted. Somewhere called Wote. It was a highway. Then in Mombasa, coastal region, there was a protest somewhere called Mtwapa, another called Mavueni. And at the Kenyan-Tanzania border, there's a place called Migori. There was a protest. So, in as much as the organizers had said they want to give the president maybe a week to see what he does when they are called, there are some who say no, he should be put more pressure to act. Today, the president had a cabinet meeting and then he said there are going to be major changes in the government and people should align to that in the future. So that was an indication that he's trying to make changes or rather to take some steps to appease those who are protesting. But then now it's the point of now waiting to see whether he's going to take action or not, because now it's more than 2 weeks since he started making those polls and he's not taking action. We're just waiting to see what he'll do, because after he finished the cabinet, he flew to the fourth area. That's where he is for some events, but we hope he's coming back and maybe he may announce the changes he says anytime. We're just waiting to hear.
And in waiting to hear, sometimes a leader will make a public appearance or, give a press conference to calm the nerves of the people. Has President Ruto done anything akin to this, since Sunday's media chat?
He has not shown up in the public since then. Because remember when was this on Tuesday, the opposition came out and told him to come out and address the public, the Kenyans, tell them what we are doing. Since he came out of that press conference which he had around table, he has not shown the public because we believe we hear that he's under intense pressure. He says he didn't believe this will happen because it came as a surprise to him, and people never believed that the youth or the so-called Gen Z to come out and challenge his leadership. So he has seen that the protests were real, and up to now we are waiting to hear whether he will come out or not. We hope and believe by Sunday he may go to church. That's where he usually goes on Sundays to make an appearance and make a statement. But then you see, when he had this round-table meeting, he said he will not be making any political statement from the pulpit. It's another wait and see.
And perhaps the tempers will cool down now, because of the pay rise pause. What do you think?
People know it. Just again, it's an issue of now waiting to see what happens, because according to the commission, which is charged with increasing these salaries, they are saying that it's legal. It's a process which is supposed to take place. But then now timing is the problem. Timing was wrong, and they had to withdraw. People are watching nowadays because social media and online people, so it's an army which you can't underrate.
All right then. Cyrus Sombati, Kenyan journalist from Nairobi. Thank you.
Thank you so much for me to show.
Well, we're still talking Kenya. Their police officers have been patrolling the streets of Port-au-Prince equipped with body armor and automatic weapons in Haiti. The officers stationed near the international airport drew the attention of onlookers but did not encounter confrontations with gangs. This group, the initial UN-supported foreign police unit in Haiti, arrived in the country in June, responding to a plea for assistance to combat escalating gang violence in Haiti. They will be reinforced by police and military personnel from the Bahamas, Bangladesh, Barbados, Benin Republic, Chad, and Jamaica, bringing the total number of personnel to 2,500. Currently, criminal gangs dominate approximately 80% of the capital, leading to over 580,000 individuals being displaced in recent months. Well, Haiti's Prime Minister Gary Conille has expressed gratitude for the multinational security support mission, emphasizing the urgent need to address the violence perpetrated by armed groups. The special representative of the Secretary General for Haiti and the head of the United Nations Integrated Office in the country, Maria Isabel Salvador, explained to the UN Security Council that the deployment of the first group of Kenyan police officers is an important step in the implementation of Security Council Resolution 2699. On October 2nd, 2023, the Security Council authorized deployment of a multinational security support mission headed by Kenya in close cooperation and coordination with the government of Haiti for an initial period of 12 months, with a review after 9.
Renewed hope to the people.
Haïti se trouve à un moment critique.
Haiti is currently at a critical point, with 12,000 armed individuals holding a population of 12 million hostage. At this decisive juncture, no project, be it economic or political, can be tackled without addressing the security issue. For that reason, my government welcomes the implementation of commitments made in Resolution 2699 regarding the multinational security support mission. The deployment of the first contingent of police officers alongside Haitian law enforcement agencies should help put a stop to the barbarity of criminal groups.
The installation of the Transitional Presidential Council in April and the designation of a prime minister and a new government sworn in last month are clear indications of progress. Works have continued at the airport where flights have resumed, and the building of the base that will house
Experts and locals in Niger, a former French colony, appear to welcome the National Rally's first-round victory and President Emmanuel Macron's defeat in the recent legislative elections in France. They say they believe that the break between France and its former colonies has now been confirmed by the policy of the National Rally. Analyst and former member of the Constitutional Court, Abdurrahmane Liwana, adds that the change could reset relations with France on a more equal basis. A local stake on the matter is that the newly elected representatives and France need to know Niger has gone beyond the stage of colonization and get to the negotiating table. Now, the challenges of food security in Africa has been attributed to economic shock, conflict and insecurity, and also an increasing climate change shock, among others. The United Nations Director of the World Food Programme, Dr. Hamid Nuru, stated this at the annual lecture of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, University of Ilorin, here in Nigeria's Kwara State, where he advocates for various short and long-term solutions.
Of the university.
It's become an annual ritual for the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, University of Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, to organize lectures on topical issues. And this year the focus is navigating the nexus of food security, safety and diseases, a holistic, sustainable future and economic prosperity.
I am reminded of the profound impact of our profession as on earth, well-being of animals, humans, and the environment. Our faculty has a rich legacy of excellence, stands at the foremost of advancing animal health, improving public health, and safeguarding the Earth ecosystem.
This year's guest lecturer is the United Nations Director of the World Food Programme, who attributes various challenges for food insecurity on the continent to harsh economy, conflict, insecurity, and climate shock.
On average in Africa and in Nigeria in particular, the average person spends more than 65% of their salary buying food, which is a huge amount of money. The acceptable rate is about between 5 and 6%. So 65% just to buy food, it means that there's something fundamentally wrong. And we have to try and see how we can address this. If we look at out of 45 African countries, 13 of them had inflation of more than 10% last year. 6 of them had inflation of more than 30%. One of these countries that we're in right now is one of these. And then 2 of these countries had an inflation of more than 100%. Now for food, this is unacceptable.
To correct the situation, he prefers short and long-term solutions, which include increased supply of fertilizers, dedicated financing of food budgets, and attracting youth to embrace modern agriculture.
Africa has to move away from agriculture, which is for agriculture for the stomach, to agriculture for wealth. This is what we need to move towards. We need to reduce pressure on markets by increasing supplies of fertilizers and food and things like that. Do you know how much was spent last year on conflicts globally? 15 trillion US dollars. Trillion, not million. US dollar, not million, was spent on conflicts globally last year. Buying planes and ammunition and guns and things to kill ourselves. 15 trillion. You only need $3 or $4 trillion to provide water for every village in the whole of Africa.
The Kwara State government also highlights various measures being taken to ensure availability of food for the people.
Our ministry is dedicated to regulating abattoirs and slaughter slabs, conducting pre- and post-mortem inspections, and provision of cooling facilities in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, as well as the Livestock Productivity and Resilience Support Project, LPRES.
The take-home for the people at the lecture is for government at all levels to embark on agriculture wealth and not for stomach alone, and for individuals to cultivate it in various locations to reduce hunger.
The Lagos State government has been apologizing to residents and commuters over the floods that left a large number of people stranded and many areas submerged on Wednesday. The Commissioner of Environment and Water Resources, Mr. Tokubo Wahab, said this on Channels Television's breakfast program, The Morning Brief. He also added that the state has a protection policy over wetlands and the floods were not due to lack of planning.
So for Lagosians, we are sorry for what happened. We are sorry for the disruption. We are sorry for the loss of life. They were not intended, they just took its course, and then we pushed back to mitigate and allow the water flow back to the lagoons. And for those on the upland, of Alimosho, Ikeja, same thing happened. We had to put in place the resilient infrastructure. And the infrastructure were able to move the water out of the streets into the canal, and then they discharged them into the lagoon. The policies are in place. We're implementing them painstakingly. If we have to remove properties on our channels, collector parts, canal parts, we do them by serving the requisite notices. There's a pumping station at Ilubiri, pumping water out of an inch. There's a concrete line drainage system taking the water into the lagoon. The truth is, most part of Oroyi and Energy are low-lying areas. And at low-lying areas, when the water level is high, it will backflow to the area again. So what we're doing is pumping the water out. And to say the state doesn't have a wetland policy, it's also very wrong and very political. There is a wetland policy. And that is why we have said to them in the Ministry of Environment, you can build on the wetland. We're not allowing them to build on the wetland. If anybody has got to build on the wetland, you'll be sure they don't have an approval from the Ministry of Fiscal and Urban Development.
The governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, has urged stakeholders of the state to join hands in supporting vulnerable people, especially as the economic hardship persists. He made the remark at the second edition of the 2024 Kefi Polo Tournament, tagged Polo for Orphans, organized by the Kefi Polo Ranch to support orphanages in the state. Our correspondent Halima Gayam reports.
The governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule, the state traditional rulers and government functionaries, members of the National Assembly, including the Senate leader, Bamidele Okpeyemi, who is representing the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio, attend the closing of the Polo for Orphans tournament organized by the Kefi Polo Ranch. Governor Abdullahi Sule launches the throw-in of the game between Kefi ponies and Malcolmines, whose accruals will be channeled to cater to the needs of orphans in the state. While the equestrian game is played for fun or medals, since 2015, tournaments at the Kefi Polo Ranch are played twice a year to support a social cause, either education development or the care of orphans in Nasarawa State. This second edition of the 2024 tournament is for orphans. Some of them are present, adorned in tops of varying colors.
Giving back to the society, I think there is no better people in the society that one should give attention to than the orphans, because they are very vulnerable and they need all the support, which is why we have been supporting them as a mark of responsibility to make life worth living for them. Initiatives like this must be encouraged and must always be supported so that the initiatives will remain alive and continue to add the needed and required values.
Governor Abdullahi Sule says the gesture is in line with the policies of the government as it encourages stakeholders to key in.
Whatever is going to be generated is going to cater for the less privileged among us. It's in line with what our Mr. President has always said, to continue to cater for Nigerians, especially the vulnerable. It's in line with all the support we have continued to give in the country as a country and as a state. We encourage everybody to support in any way possible that they can. This is the line that he has chosen to support, and so many other people will choose other lines to support. And I think this is a wonderful initiative, a wonderful gesture by Ali Wadada.
Polo is acclaimed to be a game of kings and the king of all games, which literally remains one accessible mostly by the rich. With the Kefi Polo Ranch channeling accruals from its annual tournaments to touch the lives of orphans and the less privileged, it is expanding the game to encompass people of all socioeconomic strata, giving the game an impactful posture. Halima Agayem, Channels Television News.
A Ghanaian chef, Ebenezer Smith, popularly known as Millennium Chef Smith, has been arrested for forging a Guinness World Record for marathon cooking. At a press conference in Accra, the capital of Ghana, Mr. Smith showed off a certificate confirming himself as the new world record holder for the 820-hour, 25-minute cookathon, which started on February 1st and ended on March 6, 2004. Confirming the invalidity of his certificate, the PR executive for the Guinness World Record, Alina Polianskaya, said the certificate did not come from the GWR. According to Polianskaya, the longest cooking marathon individual is 119 hours, 57 minutes, 16 seconds and was achieved by Irishman Alan Fisher in Matsu, Shimane, Japan from the 28th of September to the 3rd of October 2023. Now, Tunisia is heading to the polls to elect a president on October the 6th. President Kais Saied's office confirmed this on Tuesday, but did not indicate whether he will be running for a fresh 5-year term in office. In 2021, the president removed the prime minister and the parliament and governed by decrees. Many of his adversaries were thrown in jail. In 2022, he implemented a new constitution through a referendum, establishing a presidential system alongside a parliament with restricted powers. The political turmoil triggered by his power consolidation has had a huge impact on the country's economy, with a 15% unemployment rate and approximately 4 million citizens out of the country's 12 million population living in poverty. And finally, on the program, next time you open a bottle of wine, perhaps you should spare a thought for what goes into producing the cork. The bark tissue is not only used for wine, but also in the fashion and building industries. Morocco, which produces about 6% of natural cork globally, is transforming the way it harvests, moving away from the axe to a smarter and more efficient method. The industry is introducing a new lightweight battery-powered saw that calculates the depth of the cork bark. Now, this method is not only more efficient in removing the bark, but it also reduces damage to the trees. The new technology will also help the industry adapt to the changes in the harvesting season, which has become variable and shorter as a result of climate change. And that's all we have for you today on Network Africa. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.